Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.
Blessings, and welcome to Primetime Home Buyers. And you're here with your host, Lashley. Welcome on a Tuesday. I always extend my apologies when I don't make it on a Monday, but sometimes I try to make it up. Today is actually my son's birthday, so shout out to my son. So I've been doing a little bit, to make him feel special. 20 years old, working and going to school, and got to do both on his birthday and had a final today. So I just had to do some things. So that's why I'm here today. I'm keeping my word and following up on the subject that we were talking about last week. Basically addressing how to start to understand the concept of being a new builder. Okay, these concepts that I share is for new builders, my tax lien and deed investor family, as well as people who are foreclosure experts, deal with foreclosure processes, but want to start building on the process, build on their investment, and just don't know where to start. So usually what we do is do comprehensive information, comprehensive seminars, comprehensive information. This means that you may see us in the process of it as far as showing you examples, or we do PowerPoints giving you particular information as far as objective of what's the PERC test in this particular PowerPoint, what to expect, who regulates it, how much it costs, and what you can do to get prepared for it, the good, bad, and the ugly. We want you to understand what may be the outcome of your particular interest, and these are some of the things that you can start to kind of look for pre-tax lien sale. As I told you guys, if you got access to GIS maps, zoning maps, it will help you a lot in your process. So I want to say thank you to all who attend our actual monthly seminar. It was actually one person this month. So we had a one-on-one. She was gifted with a one-on-one, and I basically started where she was at. And, we built from there. This is what I do on my consultations. I'm very excited about tax liens and tax deeds, investments. Not only that, just entering the real estate market from a really, really low rate, like, as far as monetary gain. You may have to do more work, but you gain a lot of knowledge and insight. So I really love this process. So this is why I share so much with you. So today is going to be a formal live, meaning that we're going to go through a PowerPoint. We're going to also, at the end of the PowerPoint, show a video of example of what a PERC test is, as well as we got 2 documents to share with you that we're going to go over that goes into, I think it's, textures, determining the textures when you're doing the actual ribbon test, as well as some more concepts related to soil and PERC testing. Okay, brought to you by builders.com. We do support comprehensive websites that give good information. So we're going to share that link with you guys, and let's get it moving. Let's get it started. In here. I was singing that earlier. I was like, I'm going to sing that to y'all. Let's get it started. Okay. Let me cut it out. Now we got the PowerPoint on the screen. I hope you can hear me. Let's get it started. Primetime home buyers, concepts of building on your investment, understanding concepts of a PERC test. Now, I want you guys to understand, sometimes when you look up the word PERC, it's going to come up PERK or PERC. PERC is related to the actual testing that's being done. We're going to get into that. Okay, which is like a porosity test. Concepts for new land builders. So this is going to be the seminar. This is One of the concepts we're going to teach you in our seminar when we release it, we always got to give you a sneak peek. But what does it mean to have PERC land? What does it mean to have PERC or PERC land? So I put it interchangeable here so you guys won't get confused. It's the same thing. A process is, I say, a process is only needed when the municipality does not provide sewer. So if the municipality does not provide sewer for you, this is when you will need this particular testing. God be the glory if the place that you're invested in actually has municipal sewer system, saves you thousands of dollars. Okay, this process determines if the septic system can be placed in the plot of land. The PERC test is done by drilling. This is simple. We're going to build on this, but it's basically the PERC test is done by drilling or digging a hole in the ground and conducting a percolation test. I do apologize. I couldn't even get it out. Percolation test. So basically, percolation test, couldn't get it out. It is a porosity test, but it's done with soil. Okay. This is done by pouring water in the hole and then observing the rate at which the water is absorbed into the soil. Okay. Pre-PERC or PERC test. Okay. Now, this is what you want to do. You got to get in the mindset of what you need to know and understand it before you go pay for a PERC test. I just need a PERC test that I want to build. Okay. Understand the area that you are building in. Examine your neighboring properties. Look at what they got. Is it a home there? Now, I can't promise you that your land will actually have sewage. As I explained to you in other lives, I have particular properties that's located in areas that I would assume have sewage because they have gas station down the street. It has a house next door to it. And guess what? It doesn't have sewage. Okay. You have to do it yourself. So you want to examine the neighborhood property, kind of do a guesstimate. Are there houses located nearby? Are there bodies of water nearby? This is very important because this can help you determine if there's a possibility of wetland or risk for a flooding. Okay. Flood zone. So let's keep that in mind. When you're looking at property, you want to see how close it is to water. Okay. Understanding the typography outlook of your property. Now, this is when you're dealing with the GIS map and understanding the concept of typography. And basically, it's just like a computerized look at land. Okay. Are there hills and valleys or slopes? This will affect the soil and the water table. So we're going to get a little bit into the water table so you can kind of understand it. But all water tables are not the same. It's based on the geographical area and the actual weather, which can affect your chances of passing the test. Okay. Who requires the PERC test? Now, this is the entity that you're going to have to keep in contact with, find out all of your information. The county health department requires that the PERC test be done to determine if the property can sustain the septic system and other factors. Not only the septic system itself, but other factors that encompass building the septic system and disposing of the waste. Okay. Builders must check with the county health department to determine if there is an approval for the sewer system on record or if one must be conducted. Okay. When contacting the health department, you want to ensure that you have a clear and concise understanding of the process and requirements. Now, this is what you're going to ask them. Okay, what do I have to do specifically? What application? How much? What is the time frame? Do I have to pay for the company to do it? What are the other requirements with your county, that particular county? Before starting to drill or make changes to the property, you don't want to start something and don't have an estimate of how much it's going to cost. We already know, buyback team. We already thinking before we even we thinking about this before we even put our money in the tax lien or tax deed. Okay. Each county may have its own individual requirements for placement and testing. Please see county for details. In many cases, the health department will conduct a PERC test for you for a fee. Okay. It's not free, y'all. Okay. We're going to get into the fees as well. It can vary. PERC test procedures. In many jurisdictions, it is required that the PERC test be done by a licensed X, I can't even get it out today. Ex, oh my God. Why can't I get it out? Excavator. Why can't I get the word out? It was like right at the tip of my tongue. I do apologize. Excavator. Excavator. Okay. When the process is done, now that's not something that's typical. We don't look for excavators all the time. So I do apologize. I just got stuck. Okay. Excavator, that's who we need. And these are hired professionals that are licensed. When the process is done, the county sometimes also sends a department official to be present with the licensed excavator at the time of the test. So most likely you're going to be paying for the excavator, and I don't know if it's a fee for the county to come out, but you want to keep that in mind. The homeowner can be present. It's good for you to be present because you want to have good communication with the excavator, see exactly what is their processes. Could they pre-evaluate the land? Y'all kind of talk about it. We're going to talk about why. Throughout the process, the excavator will usually dig at least 2 deep holes and test the rate of drainage of water through the soil. This is done on site. Okay. The test is straightforward and simple. A hole is made in the particular area and water is poured in the hole. It is a little bit more, but this is basically what it is. The time that it takes the water to drain, which is time in minutes, time per inch, okay, is measured. And that's where they get the calculation and where they get the range from, okay, that you're supposed to fall under. PERC test, things to know. The health department has the final determination to enforce the rules that apply to the suitability of the septic tank being placed. Okay, they make the rules, so you want to know, you want to have idea of what the rules is, and it's a little bit more you want to think about, not just the PERC test. Okay. Part of the test does not, the PERC test do not last forever. It is typically good for about 2 to 5 years, depending on the local municipality regulations. It is always good to know if there is a test on file, but you want to keep in mind, even if there's an older test on hand, you may still have to commission for a new test to be completed, especially if it was 2 years, 3 years old. Things change, allegedly climate change. This affects the soil and all types of stuff. So you may still have to pay for one, but you do want to look at past PERC tests because that may be beneficial for you. PERC test, things to know. Continue. Even if you pass the PERC test, this is not just it, okay? There may be other limitations, okay? Each municipality may have different requirements related to the septic tank drainage field, okay? You want to know about that. Where is it going? What is the county requirements? There may be some prepping that is required before the land can be built on. What is that requirement? Permits as well. There may be a minimum distance requirement for septic tanks within a certain area from home to home. There may be certain requirements related to the leach field and other private wells. So you want to know what a leach field is, what private wells are close to or nearby your property, how that would affect, because they rate that by distance, okay? Located near your septic system. So the typical cost of a PERC test can be around $750 to about $1,800. I'm being modest, guys, because inflation hit. Okay, so this is based on my research, but you never know. But this can vary depending on how big the land and the location as well. Okay. What if the PERC test is completed and you fail? Okay, what to do now? What is next? Because you were planning to build on this property. Failing a PERC test may mean that the builder you have encountered a problem because the septic system must be built for a livable residential dwelling. Please keep in mind that this can happen in many rural areas. So people like me, I like to invest in land. This is something that I have to be really wary of, especially if I want to convert it into a residential property or I want to use it as residential property. This is why it's very important as a buyer or a seller to understand if the land is perkable or have public sewer. That's one of the first things you ask when you're buying a property. Does it have public sewer, okay? Or buying land. Even if your land fails the perk test, it does not mean that you cannot build anything on it. So last year I always say is a plan A, B, C, and D. And we go and examine everything and see which one is the most beneficial and maybe the most cost efficient. In this case, you want to talk to your health department about other structures or buildings that can be created in replacement. Depending on the size of the lot, there may be other portions of the land that may be perkable as well. So this is why you want them to do more than one test, okay? Just because you have failed the test doesn't mean that the entire land has failed the test. You can also petition for extensive detailed research done related to the PERC test connected to the property, okay? This is something you can do. You don't have to leave it alone, okay? Where there's a will, there's a way. So, what if the perk test is completed and you fail continue? Now, let's think about this. You can request the health department to reconsider, request if there is a formal appeal process, and what circumstances will be adequate to reconsider the original determination. Determine what time of the year or season did the test fail, because this can play a major part. Because in the wintertime, the soil is harder. Whatever it is a little bit harder, okay, even if it's sand. In some situations, the water table is a low particular in a particular area. So you need to know the water table for the particular state that you're in the county. The county will have one on file for you. So you can determine when is the best time to actually do the perk test. This water table is related to seasonal changes. Please see the health department for details. There are times of the year which will prove more of an advantage for builders to perform the perk test. Okay. So it's because you should say you probably felt because you did it in the middle of wintertime, cold season, and you may not even thought it was cold because it was in the state that stayed warm, but it was a little bit colder and it made the soil hard. Okay, a builder can also consider other modified septic systems. The health department should have a guide for alternative septic systems that may be available. These systems can be more costly, but can be alternative to unbuildable property issues. So unbuildable property is not just the septic system. It could be wetland, because that's what we're going to go into next week. It can be condemned property, condemned land. Yeah, some land is condemned because they haunted. Okay, I'm not playing. I'm telling the truth. Make sure that when the perk test is done, have the person try a few different spots on the land. Understand that the typography of a lot can help make a tremendous difference when determining what soil is perfect for a sewer system. Now, let's give you an example. What if you have land that has a little bit of sand, a little bit of gravel, and a little bit of soil and dirt? That's sometimes like that in Florida. That's sometimes like that in some mountain areas, because those rocks turn into sand. So you want to keep that in mind. You wouldn't have them perk where most of the rocks are at. Those type of things. You will want to look for more grainy areas to get it perked. And maybe that's where you can have a second system built. So don't always throw everything out the window. Is you have to understand your land, what type of soil is on there as well. We're getting deep into this, okay? Make sure that when the perk test is done, have the person try a few different places. We said understand the typography of the lot can help make a tremendous difference. Okay. Sometimes you can just wait it out. Okay. Even if you fail. In some cases, municipalities may be developing a sewer system for the county. It can be a 2 or 3 year wait, depending on how far the project is along. But in that time, your property may increase in value. So that's when you can play the wait and hold game, and just understand when you have land versus just having a bunch of properties, the taxes is less. So it doesn't cost a lot. The taxes is not a lot, promise you. Okay. What if the perk test is completed and you failed? Other building ideas. Let's just throw some stuff out there. I know, last you got to do it. A campground. Why not? It depends on where it's at. Okay. It could be a park. It could be a parking lot. It could be a lumber yard. It can be a junkyard, storage unit building. Um, but you probably still have to have a bathroom in there, right? You probably got to have a little septic system built for that. Crops and farming. Just because the soil does not good enough to have a septic system in there, house it, and be safe and dispose of, the feces, doesn't mean that the soil is not good to grow certain things in it. Okay, so you want to be diverse, and you may be able to sell to a farmer. That's why you want to know what you can do with your property, what your land is capable of creating, and when it comes to selling the advertising, that's how you're going to market your property. Okay, we just kind of jumping back to that concept, but I got to kind of incorporate everything in. Now, types of soil plays a large role, okay, when it comes to the PERC test. Understanding how the weather contributes to the different quality of soil in a location is important, okay? I just explained to you, if it's cold, the soil is going to be a little bit more harder, okay? Example, high concentration, sand and gravel usually pass the test because sand absorbs water faster than clay or rocks. It also does an amazing job of absorbing water when the property is in an area with a low water table. So, low water table means not a lot of water. Like Georgia should have a low water table, but they may have higher water tables in certain areas because I told you it was swampland around here and they build on top of it for some apparent reason. So, clay-like soil is not typical, okay, but in Georgia it is. It's red. It's called red sand. I mean red dirt. When I came to Georgia, that's the first time I ever saw it, guys. Okay, so this is an example of some different types of soil: clay, loamy, sand. We have more examples that you can look up. There are a lot of different type of soils. I just put up a few for you, but I want you guys to look at, just get a concept of the land, how it looks, and they'll be digging a hole in this particular area. Examples of soil, and this is example of some of the tools they will use for the PERC test, like a measuring tape, okay, and water and time. That's it, okay. Conducting your own soil test. Maybe you want to check this out yourself. See what happened. You never know. So there is a test that you can conduct called a ribbon test. In some cases, you can conduct your own soil texture test to grab a rough idea if you can pass the test. The ribbon test. It is like making mud pies, guys. So let's go back to childhood. Yes, it's like making mud pies. And we're going to show you an example of it on paper, okay? Grab a handful of your soil by digging a deep hole, and you can go to the lighter soil. Okay, you want to not just do the first coat, you want to go deeper. Okay, so go a little bit deeper to the lighter soil. If the soil is damp texture or sticky and can form a thin, long ribbon and hold its shape, then it's possible that the land is clay-like and may fail the PERC test. So we're going to show you that, but you got to put water on it, guys. I left that part out. You got to put some water on it. Make a mud pie. So this is an example of the ribbon test. Right here, you'll add amount of water to the small handful. Handful of soil working from a bolus, or you could just pour some in there. Okay, so then you start to roll it in a ball, play with it, and then you'll start to see, can you squeeze it between your thumbs and actually make a ribbon, okay? They have some perimeters to this test, so we're going to show you the perimeters to the test so you can get an idea of what the test is talking about. But before we do that, let me just let you watch this educational video. It's a short educational video that I found on a PERC test. So it's for information and educational purposes only. Let's get it on the screen for you guys. I'm gonna be in a corner. Okay.
A PERC test is the first step in determining what size septic system is needed for a specific property. A large backhoe is needed to dig a series of holes. The shallow holes, usually 3 to 4 feet deep, allow the engineer to perform a drainage test where the new leaching area will be installed. The engineer pours water into the hole, and the rate at which the water percolates into the soil will determine the overall size of the leaching area. Fast-draining soils like sand and gravel require a smaller system than slow-draining soils such as clay. The deep holes allow the design engineer to determine the high groundwater elevation, which will determine the elevation of the new system. As part of the preliminary work, the lot is then surveyed to locate property lines, wells, buildings, trees, pools, and other setbacks. With this information, the design engineer can draw up a septic design that can be reviewed and approved by the local Board of Health. These plans are also used to price the new system. View our other educational videos at northboroseptic.com or curtisseptic.com.
Okay, so this is the producer of this video, and they actually build septic tanks. So not across the world. You may want to look into them for some information, but I found they're very, very good. This quick breakdown, 1.5 minute breakdown. So I hope you guys got an understanding. So if you have a property or land, the soil on the land is more clay-like, you can still have a septic system built, but it may have to be really big. It may have to be bigger. It may have to be constructed a certain way, okay? And it may have different regulations. So those are the concepts you want to keep in mind when you're thinking about building. It's not just the land, the zone, but it's actually the gravel. Can it hold? If it's a wetland, in which we're going to talk about next week, your property can sink. I'm gonna go off just a little bit before I show you this next texture document from the Department of Primary Industry, Prime Fact, and NSW government document. This basically determines soil texture using the ribbon technique. We're just gonna go into that. But basically, I was watching this video and the church collapsed. This is what they said, and I'm like, how could the church collapse? But now understanding more about the actual sand, and you could put cement down, but if the sand is not strong enough, or the structure you put down is not strong enough to hold the particular weight of the building and the structure, then you're going to have a problem. Okay. And then what I was watching, it happened twice. I was like, okay, now this makes really good sense. So let's look at this document. Let me see. Can I zoom it in just a little bit? Determine the soil texture using ribbon technique. All right, this is this idea, and this is what we told you. Play a little patty cake. We're going to be making some mud pies here. So the longer the ribbon, the more clay is in your soil. That's the outcome of the ribbon test, and that may mean you have a problem. So soil texture is using the ribbon test. So you want to keep this in mind. Sand, loomy sand, clay sand, sandy luma, light sand, clay luma, all types of different type, heavy clay, light clay, medium clay. So this document right here is going to give you a little breakdown. I'm going to have it in a description, definitely for you guys to use it as a resource for you, just to kind of look and understand different requirements. Now, this may not be the same type of how can I say, guidelines that your particular state have, but it may be. So this is start as something to look at. Okay. So let's get into, I have another document that I wanted to share with you guys that I found good PERC test and soil testing. This is brought to you by buildingadvisor.com. Shout out to them. I can't be mad if they got good information. Hope you guys having a great day. Let me know if this information is good for you guys. Are you learning? Am I breaking it down good enough, in lame text that y'all can get a comprehensive understanding? If not, just let me know. Like, hey, girl, you talk too fast. Maybe you're all over the place. And sometimes I jump and tell stories, but I try to make it as, entertaining as possible. But we still got to learn in the process. So here is the website I was telling you about from buildingadvisor.com. You can learn a lot from them. I'm not a specialized in builders. I just love to learn. I love to invest in tax liens and tax deeds. And actually, my next project, I'm thinking about building. So I said, why not learn as much as possible about building, talk to contractors, talk to realtors, and then continue to build on that information and share it with you guys. And as we continue to do our thing at Primetime Home Buyers, we share our experience with you. So I'm letting you know, me as a researcher, legal nursing consultant, everything that I share with you is done from a research perspective. I use a lot of different references, and then I put them into my own terms, as you can see. That's why I be some grammatical errors, but it's okay. I'm not copywriting or plagiarizing. And that's telling you that I'm taking these concepts, putting them into my own words, which is comprehensive for you guys. And this is what we're doing here. So if you don't understand what Lashley does, this is what we do. A lot of what I teach you, I am doing myself, point blank, period. I don't usually I go out on different subjects that I'm not utilizing at the moment, but because I love to learn. But just know that most likely everything I share with you is what I'm doing or what I have learned from. Okay, or learn from some type of expert. Okay, so this is a great website. Just jump off of that you can use. Soil and PERC testing. In this article, they highlight no PERC test, no house. Deep hole test, PERC testing, setbacks and clearance, options if site fails, post comments. So no PERC, no house. In rural areas without municipal sewer system, a failed PERC test means that no house can be built, which is why you should make in any offer. You should not make any offer to a land contingency on the site passing the soil. You should, I do apologize, make an offer to purchase the land contingency to the site passing the soil and PERC test. That's if you want to build. The prime building site becomes increasingly scarce, okay? In many parts of the country, rural sites that was not passed in poor correlation or PERC test is poor correlation, which is like the porosity test, okay, for soil, are increasingly common. In general, soil where high sand and gravel content drains the best, and soil where high clay content or solid rock are the worst. Most soils fall somewhere in the middle with a mix of coarse sand, gravel particles, small slick particles, and minute clay particles. Okay, so this is a rough idea of the clay test that we talked about. The two main tests used to determine the site suitability for a septic system are the PERC test and the visual observation of the soil in a test pit, okay? Sometimes referred as a deep hole test. Testing requires very greatly from state to state and also often from town to town. So that's why don't think you're doing one county is like that's in another county. It just be a whole new world. It just be a whole new world, okay? We told you about this. Even when you're investing in tax liens and tax deeds like that. So make sure you talk to your town health officer. Don't matter, it's the health department of the town about what tests are needed, when they can be done, who should perform the test, whether or not a licensed professional is required. Is it a good idea to hire a seasoned expert or local expert, as many of these tests have a bit of a wiggling room. Okay, you want to see what you can and can't do. So the one thing I didn't talk about, the deep hole test, so let's just get into that a little bit. Most evaluation starts with a deep hole test dug by machines. That's why you have to hire an expert depending on how big the land is, to well below the bottom of the proposed leach field. Okay, man, we talked about the leach field, often 7 to 10 feet deep or greater. Testers are looking for high water tables and the presence of rock ledges or impermeable soil that will block absorption. So they're looking, because sometimes, if they had like something that was destroyed on a place, and let's say something moved, the land moved, I don't know, maybe it was a volcano hundreds of years ago, I don't know, and then the dirt got on top of it, and then people build, and you went to do a PERC test and you got to go 10 feet down, and you find out that it's just like a whole bunch of hard volcano. I'm just throwing volcano under there, but you know what I'm saying? This is an example of it being obscured by a solid material, okay? In some areas, testers are evaluating the soil for drainage characteristics. Soil samples may be taken back to the lab or visibly observed of the soil layers may be sufficient. In many jurisdictions, the absorption rate of soil is measured in the field with the PERC test, okay? It's done in person. Visual observation are usually to identify the limiting zones where the soil is unsuitable for treating soil. So if it's just a whole bunch of rocks, like what if it's the place that you're perking is by a mountain range, and you got some mountain, you got some trees, got a nice backyard. and that's incorporated. You don't know what's under that land, so you don't know what to expect. This determines the upper layer of the water table. So where the soil is unsuitable for treatment sewage. This is determined by the upper layer of the water table, okay? Or impermeable soil or rock, okay? The seasonal high water table is then identified visually by looking for molting, splashing, streaks of color in the soil indicate an occasional presence of water. That streaks of, yeah, but like a rainbow. In the soil indicate occasional presence of water. Examiners also look for layers of rocks or impermeable soil and may send soil samples to the lab. Okay. If the limited zone is too close to the surface to allow a conventional leach field, then a mold or other alternative septic system may be required. Typically, the water table or impermeable soil must be at least 3 feet below the bottom of the trenches in the leach field. But the exact distance vary from location to location. So there's more requirements than just the permissibility of the soil. I just want you guys to know that, okay? Let's just keep that in mind. So seasonal high water table, what are they talking about? Some municipality may also require direct testing of a seasonal high water table under certain conditions. For example, this may be required for some types of alternative systems or an area where it's known to have high water tables by lakes, by rivers, that floods, by oceans, that the usual approach is to drill small monitoring wells as also is called piezometers. Okay. The monitoring wells are essentially plastic pipes stuck into the holes, drilled, because they can't really dig deep like in sand. You know what I'm saying? So they'll put these pipes in there. In the ground drilling, the wettest part of the area, the depth of the water in the pipe is measured for a system to be approved. So that's like the ones that's by the beach. Okay. Just keep that in mind. There must be adequate clearance from the bottom of the draining field trenches to the groundwater. Okay. So we went into what's a PERC test. So I wanted you guys to get into the seasonal high table and how that's determined by the particular location in the county. What's acceptable, the seasons. Okay. Let's keep that in mind. Other site conditions that can affect it, as we talked about, steep slopes can affect it, landfills can affect it, field land can affect it, wetlands, flood zones, site drainage. Okay. Where site drainage can happen, or if site drainage can happen, can affect the whole thing. All right, septic system. It also has to be clearance from the houses, property line, private wells, portable water piping, open water system, ponds, wetlands. It's supposed to be a clearance from the septic tank and the leach field where everything is going to be kind of like going out. I want to show you that picture. I'll bring the picture up so you can get an idea. Let's see, can I pull it up right now? Hold up. Subsoil drainage. So I gave you some alternatives for, let me pull a picture up before I forget. Hold on. I gave you some alternatives for what you can do for poor properties that's not perkable, because that may be a problem for you guys, and you can build other stuff. So alternative systems is also a good idea to keep in mind. It may be a little bit more pricey, but if the area is worth it and they're building up and you're going to make that money back, don't worry about it. Now, let me see. Can I put this up? Screen up here. Okay. So right here is like the clearing fields that it's talking about, where you're going to, the drainage field. You see that? This is not just a small system that you have to deal with. You're going to have the main septic system, but then you have to have an outlet for where these things are going and where it's draining to. And it has to be environmentally friendly. So the state or the county knows what areas are environmentally friendly for this particular thing to happen. So also you got to think about the materials that's going to be used, certified companies, licensed companies. I do apologize. That it plays a very important role, as well as the fees of building, meaning, sometimes you have to have permits, how long the permit is going to last. So this is a big step in investing, because like I said, especially if you're a land investor, this is what we look at. This is what we think of, because just because we're land investors does not mean we don't want a property. We may want to build from scratch. So this is for the people who want to build from scratch and just don't know what to expect. It starts with the land, the size, zoning, as well as the actual soil. These are the foundational things that you have to think about. Can it hold what you want to build? If not, what are your other plans for that particular property? So if you have any questions, you let me know. I kind of went through this about 40 minutes, not too bad. I have another live coming up at around 8 o'clock on my Nurses to Nurses platform. So I got to get ready for that, because today is Nurses to Nurses Day, where Lashley is a nurse. Now, I do have another platform called Nurses to Nurses News Network, guys. If you don't know, it's on Rumble. Y'all saw me on Rumble. I'll be going live tonight, and I'm going to actually be talking about the spike protein and how long it stays in the body, what damage it causes from facts. Okay, so that's going to be a long live, but I'm pulling it together. It's going to be probably a 3 or 4 part series, probably 3-part series, because this part we're going to focus is on the effects they have on the brain and those type of things. I'm not going to get into it right now, but that's what we're going to be talking about tonight when I go on my Nurses broadcast. But back to primetime home buyers. What we're going to be doing next week, we're going to be looking at avoiding wetland. Okay. Now, we already understand the importance of the PERC test. So this PERC test is definitely related to wetland. We told you what to observe with your eyes. Look for typographically. Is it water close? How close is it? Does it flood? How is this land built? What type of sand it is? Like I said, dirt. Like, I never saw red dirt until I came to Georgia. Hard as a rock, but they found a way. They found a way to make homes. So that's what we'll be doing next week. Most likely Friday, we're going to go into maybe some trending topics, make it a little bit more spicy for you guys, because today was conventional. And we're going to take it from there. So I want to say thank you for being here with Lashley. You have been amazing. Also, I want to say shout out to my son. He is a business owner. Again, today I told you guys it is his birthday. He is turning 20. He have owned a business since the age of 14. Yes. Trademark, copywritten. He does tailoring and customizing. So I have to support the young man by showing his commercial. Where is our commercial? Oh, hold on. Let's switch it up, because I'm under a different thing. Let's show you. Okay, guys. Thank you for being with me today.
Experience a global adventure with our mineral wash cut-off sleeve t-shirt, featuring a unique design inspired by cultures worldwide. Perfect for any occasion. Add it to your wardrobe today and join us on this epic world tour.
Shout out to my son. I love you guys. Thank you for being here with Nurse Lashley. I'm switching my stuff over, y'all. Just be so much doing your own producing. Have a great night. Gotta go.
The real estate market often seems like a distant world where only an elite of experts is successful. In a time of so much uncertainty in the air and bad news, realist investing can seem intimidating. But today, I want to tell you that if you make the right decision today, you can enter the real estate market from the back door. Bad credit record? No credit at all? Do you dread the idea of having a home loan? Do you dream of owning investment properties? You are in the right place and right time, because we have created a program which is a tax lien and deed investment online course of only 14 hours. This course is specially designed for people like you who have big dreams. You will learn at your own pace and everything from your home computer. This is your chance. Join our membership for $19.99 a year. What are you waiting for? Visit our website primetimehomebuyerBuyback.org and sign up today for course access.